Well, let's jump into the next part. So
Yeah.
this is a great segue. What causes eating disorders, and what are the truth, but what's the truth behind the common myths? Because I think that will help
Mhm.
me understand better and also the audience.
Yeah, so there are a lot of factors that can cause an eating disorder. It's often, like when we're talking to caregivers often, harbor a lot of guilt and blame themselves for, I must have done this to my child, like I'm the cause of all this. There's no one reason why someone develops an eating disorder. The way that I treat eating disorders, I look at a biopsychosocial model. So we look at the biology of someone. Oftentimes eating disorders run in families. There's a genetic component. We see difficulties with twins too. There are a lot of twin studies that we look at where there's a higher
Oh,
incidence rates when there are twins and one has an eating disorder. The psychology, so the way that people handle their emotions and respond to their emotions, that can play a role. And then social factors as well. We grew up hearing certain narratives. If you have to look a certain way, you need to be a
right.
certain way, and like media influences that as well. So we can't just pin it on any one thing. So part of the work that I do is trying to alleviate some of that guilt. Like, I must have done this. I must have been the cause of this, when there's so many things that truly cause it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even that they have this disorder, but then it's like that shame level on top of it of like,
Mm-hmm.
how can I be this way? How the judgment when it's
Mm-hmm.
a response to something bigger that you're trying to pinpoint. How do we get this better? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, so we talked about some factors that contribute media, and probably large just the way that our society is structured. So some
Mm-hmm.
of the programming that we've received. How much would you say control, since we touched upon that in the beginning, plays a role in this?
So it's tough to say exactly how much of a role control plays, but if we think
Mm-hmm.
about an eating disorder being a coping mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
because it really can be a coping mechanism. If someone is experiencing difficult thoughts and emotions, an eating disorder is pretty effective in making it so that you don't have to feel something. It's kind of a way to numb out. So it's a way that you are controlling your emotions if your emotions kind of feel like they are out of control. So if you're someone who has big emotions, or if you're someone who holds on to their emotions and keeps them on the inside, regardless of the way that you experience your emotions, it can help you not feel the things that you don't want to feel. So taking control of the way that you look, or taking control of the way that you feel, it's a big component in the eating disorder development.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. What do you think the common misconceptions about eating disorders are?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that having an eating disorder is a choice. And I think
Oh,
it's really tough when
I
you
wasn't
are.
aware that people, well, maybe, I don't know. I've never really thought about it like that. I mean, I've never
Yeah.
really, with people I know who struggled with eating disorders, I've never really thought
Hmm.
of them as having a choice.
Yeah, I mean, it some people, have that ability to, like step into their shoes and say, it's clear that they're struggling, who would choose this for themselves. But when we don't have an eating disorder, it is so hard to understand the eating disorder mind. And
Right.
putting yourself into their shoes is a tough thing to do. It's easy for us to say, okay, well, we'll just eat. It's what we're supposed to do. It's not that easy for them. There's we actually have done a lot of neuroimaging studies at the UCSD Eating Disorders Center. I was a research assistant for a while. We did some fMRI studies, and what we found is the reward system pathways in the brains of folks with anorexia nervosa, those reward system pathways are actually flip flopped. So let's
Wow.
say, yeah, yes. So let's say you're hungry. You're probably feeling
Uh-huh.
pretty grumpy, right?
Yeah, I'm hangry.
Yeah, I'm hangry. That
Yeah,
that's a common experience. So then
right.
you eat, you feel better. It feels good to
Mm-hmm.
be eating. For someone who's experiencing anorexia nervosa, if they if they're hungry and they eat, it is actually a very punishing experience. It doesn't feel good at all. It feels like the worst thing that you could possibly be doing.
Like a perceived failure on their part for like succumbing to that urge of hunger.
Yeah, so
Oh,
it's like
wow.
it's punishing rather than rewarding
Right.
to eat. So it's a very difficult thing to unlearn and then relearn a different way. It's like we're rewiring the brain entirely. So
Yeah.
when folks say like, "Well, just eat," it's so it's so
I don't
difficult.
mean
You
to
can't
laugh to be
just eat.
disrespectful. I laugh because it's like it's like the equivalent of people saying, just let it go. You're like,
hmm
okay.
You're like,
If
"Well,
I
I'm feeling
could, I wouldn't be
anxious."
sitting here
Oh.
talking to you about it.
Well, don't be anxious. Okay, thank you. I'm cured. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Just
hmm
stop doing it. Okay, great. We'll try that. Like we haven't
hmm
tried it already.
hmm
What's the research that you found and is it identical twins or just twins or
I can't say exactly what the incidence rates are, but and I don't know
okay.
if it was just coincidence, but there were definitely like incidence rates of like twins. Like if there's one twin with an eating disorder, like the odds of like the other twin
Oh,
having
yeah.
disordered eating behaviors is a little bit higher, just because there is that genetic component there, and they share so
Mhm.
much genetic material. So I don't know the exact incidence rates off the top of my head, but I know that that's something that is, if one twin has it, we should keep an eye on the other twin too.
Very interesting. All right. Anything else that you want to cover under what causes eating disorders part 2?
No, I think that covers it.